Look at that. I'm happy we learned this now, not later. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. How do we find the vertex and the axis of symmetry once written like that, though? Do you quit? No. You might have seen this sometime in your high school days. Do you remember this formula? Negative b over 2a. Now, you could complete the square. That's the way I feel like back in my day I did it. I completed the square every time. That's a lot more work than it is to do negative b over 2a. If you like to learn how to do that, Dr. Webster has a video posted about completing the square. I am not going to do it complete the square with. Is that okay with you guys? I'm going to do it. Negative b over 2a. Oh no, Mamma Mia! There's no vertex. And I don't have Desmos I can use on the test. What do? Negative b over 2a. So what's my, remember it's ax squared plus bx plus c, right? So what's my b on this? 6. Put a negative in front. Over 2 times my a is 1. So that is what? Negative 3. So that's going to be my x value of my vertex. And that's also going to be my axis of symmetry. How do I get the y value of this? What do I have to do with that negative 3? Plug it in. What's f of negative 3? This is where I had everything done ahead of time, but it's just been a hot mess today, and that's okay. So it's at 9 minus 18, negative 19. I'm pretty confident that is negative 19. So that's my vertex. I get the x by doing negative b over 2a, and I plug it in to get my y. Okay? We do that a lot. Remember we did an average rate of change? I'm getting you guys ready for that final in like 9 weeks. Plug your x in to get your y values. So that's my vertex. So what's my axis of symmetry? The x equals negative 3. And is that going to be a max or a min? That's a positive from my x squared, so it'd be a min. Make sure my mic's on. Make sure my camera's recording because I have the paranoia. All right, perfect. All right. Would you guys like to see me do another one? Or are you guys okay? So remember, negative b over 2a, there's an example. If you want our video of that, Dr. Webster has one. Also, if you ever need to, just look up, there's a bunch of actual, YouTube shorts, TikTok shorts, wherever you watch, on finding this, like 30-second long videos. All right, we're over halfway done. So we're talking about x and y intercepts. Before I even go forward, how do I find the x-intercept? How do I find the x-intercept? What do I set equal to 0? The y. And for the y-intercept, I put in 0 for x. That's true for every function all the time. A big thing that's going to be different of this is quadratics always have one y-intercept. Always. Always have one y-intercept. Because their domain's all real numbers. So you have to hit the x, or I'm sorry, you have to hit the y once. They can't have 0, 1, or 2 x-intercepts. Okay? But they always have one y-intercept. All right? How do I find the x and y intercepts? So, to find the y-intercept, plug in x equals 0. To find the x-intercept, set y equals 0. Have we ever talked about that before? This is number 3. I think this is 3 or 4 that's come up, actually. All right. So how would I find the x and y intercepts of this beast? Set stuff equal to 0. But now, how do you solve quadratics? What tools do you have to solve quadratics? If you were in Algebra 2 or Math 105 last semester, this is probably what you spent a lot of time on. Factoring, you can factor, square root, complete the square, or quadratic. I am not going to be teaching completing the square in this class. Again, if you want, there's another video that's it's about an hour. You can watch how to complete the square. Because anything that you can, honestly, could you technically use quadratic every single time for every problem? You can. Keep that one in your back pocket if you ever get stuck. But now if you can factor a problem, please do it. It'll save you so much time to factor. Okay? But just remember, quadratic is probably the most advantageous tool for long-term success because it will always work. Now, before you ever solve this, you have to force it to be in this form. Okay? You have to force it to be in standard form. Ax squared plus bx plus c. You need an a and a b and a c. Okay? You have to. Let's do it. All right. Now, what I'll do on the homework is I will tell you if a problem is factorable or not, so you can try factoring first. Sound fair? So we want to solve this one by factoring. Quick reminder on factoring. Take your c and you break it down. Okay? And then you see what adds up to the middle. So for this one, I'm going to take that negative 20 and say what times what equals negative 20. Now, that's a negative, so one number is going to be negative and one number is going to be positive. Which one's going to be bigger, the negative or the positive? The negative is because that middle term is negative. That just saves you time. Could I list out all the factors and do it and yes, check? Yeah. But I know that the bigger one's going to be negative. Now, you don't have to do all of them. I'm going to start out by doing, 1 and negative 20. 1 plus negative 20 is not negative 1. So I don't care. I'm going to do 2 and negative 10. Those add up to not negative 1, so I don't care. 3 doesn't work. Let's try 4. 4 and negative 5. Those add up to negative 1. So those are my factors. Now, do you have to list out every term every time? No. But I've always found that when I teach this, if I say start at 1 and just keep going up by 1 until you get it, will that work every single time no matter what, if it's factorable? Yeah, that will always work. You don't have to stop and think. It's just, does 1 go into, does 2, does 3, does 4, does 5? You'll never have to do it very long before you get there, okay? Yeah. Yeah. So I factored it. Now, what do I plug into each part to set equal to 0? What plus 4 equals 0? Yeah, negative 4. So x equals negative 4 is the solution. What minus 5 equals 0? 5. Okay, so I just solved that equation. Is it always going to be opposite what's in parentheses? Yes. We aren't going to do a lot of it. I don't think we do any factoring here with an a, with like a number from x squared. You don't have to. So we don't have to worry about very many fractions showing up. Oh no, I lied. I didn't lie. All right, can I solve this equation how it's written? Absolutely not. I have to force it. I have to force it to look like it's equal to 0, right? I'm going to add an 8w and subtract a 42, right? So I get 2w squared plus 8w minus 42 equals 0. Now is that factorable? Or not fact, now is it solvable? I have to get it equal to 0. I just said that we don't need to deal with the a in front, right? Oh no, I'm a liar. Is there something I can pull out of all these numbers? A 2. I'm going to pull a 2 out of everything. Now, if that's equal to 0, can I divide both sides by 2? Because if I divide by 2, what's 0 divided by 2? 0. What's 2 divided by 2? Goes away. Like all my hopes. Sorry, that was really dark for this early in the morning. Now, is that something that's factorable? If I tell you, like on the homework, I think there's one that says, hey, you can factor this one, and there's a number in front, I'm guessing you can pull it out of everything. Okay? All right. So negative 21. The bigger number this time is going to be positive. How do I know? Because my b is positive. So I'm going to try negative 1 and 21. Oh, that doesn't work. 2 doesn't work. Does 3 work? Yeah. Negative 3 and 7. What do those add up to? 4. Ta-da. No. No. No, 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 no. So factors into w minus 3, w plus 7. So that means what are my 2 zeros then? Are they negative 3 and positive 7? No, what minus 3 is 0? 3. What plus 7 is 0? Oopsie. Don't write like that. X equals 3. X equals negative 7. There we go. Hey, please, please, please. A lot of the times on the different homeworks, I went through and I did all the homeworks for all chapter 5 because I was bored. Common thing is, what are the x-intercepts or what are the answers? It'll say give the smaller number, give the larger number, give the smallest. Which one of these is the smaller number? Negative 7, right? The bigger the negative is, the smaller it is. Okay, so there's a really easy chance to make a mistake. But not us. We won't do that. You know why? Because we're daring to be great. All right. Wait a second. What about this? Sometimes can I solve using a square root? Yeah, like this. If you ever see a problem where the only variable is inside parentheses or being squared, I do not have to factor or quadratic it. Now, let's say you get in a dill of a pickle, okay? You're in the brine, and you see this problem. Could you FOIL this out and then quadratic it or try to factor it? You could. That's a lot of work. Well, if I told you I can solve this in 3 steps without doing all that work? Math magic. All right. What you do is you get the square by itself. And I'm already by myself. Ha. Okay. So I'm going to add. This one's different than the other ones because it's not written in standard form. Okay? It's written actually in vertex form. Vertex would be negative 3, negative 36, of course. So this one I'm going to get the square root by itself, or the square by itself. Okay? Right? Now, how do you get rid of a square algebraically? Can I square root it? Can I do that? You bet I can. Now, whenever we're solving with square roots, how many answers do we actually have? We always have 2. You get the plus and the minus. So technically, it's plus or minus square root 36, which is plus or minus 6, right? And we know that because with quadratics, how many zeros do we have a lot of the time? 2. We need 2 answers a lot of the time. Okay? Do you guys see where I got the plus or minus 6? Whenever you square root to solve, you need to put the plus or minus. So I subtract 3, So I get negative 3 plus 6, right? Which is 3. And I also get negative 3 minus 6, which is negative 9. So those are my two answers, 3 and negative 9. All right? Mm-hmm. I tell you that in the homework set, solved by square roots. Yep, t equals 3. T equals negative 9 are two solutions. So if I was putting in my homework, the smaller answer would be negative 9. The larger would be 3. I do want to do one more of these. I want to do one more of these ones. What do I need to get by itself first? The square root, right? Or the square. The square, so I can square root. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3. I'm going to get x minus 7 squared equals negative 25. Uh-oh. Perfect. What do I do to both sides to get rid of that square? Square root it. So I get x minus 7 equals plus or minus square root of negative 25, right? Oh no, Mamma Mia. There's not going to be any real answers. But this isn't Math 8 anymore. That's 4th hour. So what do we do when we have a negative square root? What can I pull out of that? Could I rewrite this as plus or minus square root of 25 times I? Yeah. Whenever you have a negative, we are in the realm. Whenever I see a negative square root, I can pull out an I. As Hammurabi once said, I for an I. All right. What's square root of 25? 5, right? The good news is, when I add the 7 over, can I just leave it written like this? Yeah, because that's done. It's 7 plus or minus 5i. If you really were feeling feisty, you could rewrite both separate, but you don't have to. This is the same thing as this. Okay? So really, what was different about that one is when you have a negative square root, you got to pull out an I. If you want to hear a good story about an I, take anatomy with me someday. I have a good one. Well, and focus. All right. We're actually doing really well. Solve by completing the square. We are going to skip this. There's a whole separate section to it that we are not doing today. We might do when do we do conic sections in here? I don't think we do. All right, solve through quadratic equation. Bingo. Star, star. Star, 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 star. Star, 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 star. Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. Again, I guarantee most of y'all, and if you didn't in the online world, there's a lot of you, have seen quadratic equations sometime in your life. But it's about reusing it, remembering it. Do you have to memorize that? Do you have to memorize this? Not this year, right? Because I've been too nice and I let you guys use notes on your test. But should you know how to use it? Yeah, you should know how to use it. All right, let's solve this using quadratic equation. It is not factorable. How do I know it's not factorable? Because 13 is prime, and I know that the two factors don't add up to 6. So I got stuck. I got to use quadratic. I also know I have to use quadratic because it told me to use quadratic. So first thing I always do is I list my A, my B, and my C. I always do it that way just because it makes it, then I don't have to look back at the problem. I just have that, and I plug into that, right? And then I take my time. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast. What's my A on that beast? It's 1. My B is -6. My C is 13, right? Am I good to go? Can I start plugging in stuff? Yeah, I can. I want to see where I can write this. I can. All right. So I'm going to do negative B. Parentheses are huge for this one. Plus and or minus the square root of B squared. And I'm just using my B's. Don't get stung. Huh? All right. 4 times my A, which is 1. All right, look at my equation. Times C, which is 13. This is where I wish I had my done document, so I don't have to all over 2 times A. All right, 2 times 1. All right. Simplify time. What's -6? Plus or minus. This is why parentheses are huge. What's -6 squared is what? 36? Minus 4 times 13. Uh-oh. No, I'm just kidding. We're fine. 12, 150. What was that? 52? Yeah, or no? I'll rewrite it. All over 2, right? Negative B plus or minus. Yep. Uh-oh. What's 36 minus 52? Not just A16, but is that -16? Yeah. Oh no, Mamma Mia. What can what do I do to get rid of that negative? Because I don't want to deal with it. Can I rewrite this as 6 plus or minus? What's square root of 16? 4, right? Can I change that into 4i over 2? I did that. Remember, square root of 16. Square root of -16 is the same thing as I times square root of 16, which would be 4, right? Honestly, a negative in the square root is easier than not a negative in the square root because now I don't have to deal with decimals. I'm just going to be done really soon. Are these, can I divide these both by 2? Like, can I cancel them? I can. Now make sure if you cancel, you have to be able to cancel both, right? If it's just a 6, you can't. You have to leave as a fraction. But because both are divisible by 2, I can do it, right? Because both are. Okay. Now remember, you have to divide everything by 2. What a wild one to start with, going with an I right away. That's wild. We're doing great, actually. All right, let's do one more quadratic, and then actually, spatially, I'm just going to tell you how it relates to finding intercepts, and I might do 1 or 2 more tomorrow, but we look like we're going to get done today, so that's good. All right. We're covering about 1 whole chapter of Algebra 2 in a day today. What do I need to get? Is this ready to go? Can I just go? Can I do this? Heck no. What do I have to get it equal to? 0. Get it equal to 0, like the amount of money in my pocket. I didn't get my allowance this week. I didn't do all my chores. All right. I think this one might be factorable, actually. Maybe next one. All right, but I don't want to factor that. Do you want to factor it? No, let's just go right to the equation. What's my A? 2, B, -5, and C, -14. Oh, this is where it'd be really nice. I need you. I might need you all's help. All right. So I look at this, and I go like this. That's good. That's good teaching right there. So I'm gonna do negative. I can't see that. -5, right? Plus or minus square root of -5 squared minus 4 times A times C. Yeah. It's gonna be like 125. Yeah, it's not good, but it's not bad. So down here it's 2 times A. And remember, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So I get 5 plus or minus, because negative, negative, square root of 25. That always becomes positive. Am I sure? Positive. 56, 102, plus 102, right? Or no? Is that 137? Someone check me on that. I just did my, is it? All right, good. I did that pretty quick in my head. So 25 plus 102 is 137. Don't be afraid to use calculator. Uh-oh. That's a gross answer. That's definitely going to not be not a decimal. So what do I do? Are we good with this step? Are we okay with this step? And then from here, you plug in your calculator. You do what's 5 plus what square root 137 divided by 4. Help me out if someone can. It's my first day. So do the pluses. And then you do the minuses. 4.17 is one of the answers. And then subtract it for the other. That one's going to be pretty negative, right? Negative 1.67. Yeah. All right. I've been waiting all year. Now you can drop to class, everybody. All right. We're gonna use quadratic. That one's factorable. I don't like it. Can we all agree that to find the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x, and to find the x-intercept, you plug in 0 for y?
Yeah.
All right. Nah. No, I got time to do one. Let's do one more, and then we'll be done, and then we'll actually be done with this one. Yeah, so tomorrow will be a work day. All right. To find the y-intercept, what do I do on this problem? Set x equals 0, right? So what's that going to become? What's f of 0? It's 0 minus 0 plus 5, right? It's always, find the y-intercept's always very easy, right? You plug in 0 for x. What's the only thing that's ever going to be left? Whatever that is, right? So for this one, I get, I should have put y equals, I get y equals 5, right? So my y-intercept is 0, 5. Your y-intercept is always 0, comma something, because I plugged in 0 to my function. Now my x-intercept, I'm plugging in 0 for y, right? And it's always going to be something 0. When I set this one equal to 0, I have to solve it using one of those many tools we just learned, right? But luckily, it's already set up to be solved, right? This one's factorable. If you want to know how to factor, you can look back. But, oh, this is negative, so I have to go. They both have to be negative if the middle term's negative. So 0 equals x minus 1. times x minus 5. Do you guys agree on that factoring? So what are my two zeros? 1 and 5, right? So what are my two x-intercepts? I have the point 1, 0, and I have the point 5, 0. Because y is 0 on both of them because I plugged in 0 for y and I solved it. So the whole rest of this section is all the slides are you plug in 0 for your x to find your y, and then you solve like we did before.